Good morning, everyone. This is Anushri Sharma from the editorial team of People Matters, and we are back with another super exciting session of a webcast in partnership with Door International Southeast Asia on the topic Workplace Accountability, How Positive Accountability Can Make Employees Happier at Work. It is safe to say that best employers want to foster a culture of accountability in the workplace. In the light of current health and economic crisis, it is imperative that organizations continue to boost employee morale, keep their focus on the business results, and hold them accountable for their deliverables. Accountability in business can, though, sometimes feel like an unattainable standard, a light at the end of a very long and dark tunnel full of business challenges and disengaged employees that hinder the organization's growth. But given the current scenario, where the most of the nations are experiencing lockdown, and we are going through this pandemic outbreak, have you ever measure if your business is accountable enough to rise through this crisis? To share his expert views on this topic, we have today with us Ricardo Lillo, a thought leader and well-known keynote speaker who is helping executives, teams, and organizations achieve unprecedented performance. He has successfully assisted organizations throughout the world to achieve their key results by helping them shape and transform their culture. It is a pleasure to host you today on this People Matters webcast, Ricardo. Thank you so much for having this time for this webcast.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. How exciting it is to be here in times of this massive times of uncertainty and disruption. So imagine doing a webcast about having happy employees at work or working from home in this massive time of disruption. And two things, we're very proud to be the global representative of partnership leadership, the thought leaders on cultures of accountability, and also the fact that Door International Southeast Asia, it is the only Door partner in India. I have heard some rumors out there, so I just want to make sure that it's very clear before we even get started. Now, we talked about disruption. What you see here in the screen, this is me. This is our company. We love people. We love to be on a stage. We love to be able to be discussing issues and with our clients and microphones, our way of life. Enthralled by all the people around us. And now that disruption that is affecting everybody everywhere around the world, suddenly is our computers. Is everything else has disappeared from us. Yeah. And we're supposed to stay happy. How do we do that? Yeah? And that reality, that disruption, it looks like this. Yeah. It looks like we go to the stores and empty shelves right in front of us. Where did it go? We go to a shopping center. These parking lots are empty. We take public transportation. We're wearing masks and there's nobody around us. Those highways all around India, they're all empty. They're empty. The people we're in lockdown situation. Most of the sports, because I have read that some countries are still holding some football matches, but most of the world have empty stadiums. And then we got us, that person that was not used to work from home, looking out the window. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. This is not my environment. Yeah. And when you multiply that, yeah, on people all around us, yeah, these people all around us, and it's could be the people in the center, could be the leader on the side, yeah, and that network that was so much easier before, because people were in the office, we were all together. The leader could have a quick meeting when needed. Yeah, a leader could have I need to brainstorm with 2 or 3 of you. Very, very easy to do. Yeah. And then, yeah, it's like, wow, how are we going to make sure that we're able to keep them all happy? Yeah, is how are we going to be able, yeah, to get that remotability of all of us in these disrupted times? How are we going to handle that? So if we're going to use positive accountability, if we're going to keep the people happy, yeah. So what is it? Well, first of all, we need to be able, yeah, to realize, hey, there is a remotability going on right now, yeah, which is the ability, yeah, that's what it says there, is how we'll engage a remote team on the pursuit of those desired outcomes. Yeah, how are we doing that? Because that becomes very, very important. Yeah. Now, before I move on into the next 15, 20 minutes to discuss how, yeah, and show you some of the tools, what I would like to do, yeah, my team, I would like to make sure my team is able to ask the first poll question.
Sure, Ricardo. So, requesting everyone in the audience, we are putting a poll question. We request you to log into www.menti.com and use the code 959132 to answer the poll question. In case you have any difficulty answering the question, there is some details about how you can answer the poll question in your right hand side of the screen. So, Ricardo, should we wait for 1 or 2 minutes to do the
Yeah,
answers?
please. Yeah, because I would like engagement. That's, as I said before, our world was having people in front of us. They can raise their hands, they can talk. Today we need to wait for that engagement. Yeah, we need to wait for that engagement to happen. So yes, let's give them a minute or so, and let's see how many. If we get 100 of them, I would love to get that type of. It's. So how concerned are you? It's maybe am I talking to people that they are concerned about what's going on around them, or everything is great? So yes, I need that feedback to move on. Thank you. How's the activity there? Are people replying? Are you getting some numbers?
Yes, Ricardo. So I'm just, team, can we please share the screen of the results?
Yeah, if you can do that, and then you're gonna bring me
Yes,
back, right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
So here we are. So the question was, how concerned are you that your business results are in jeopardy because people are consumed with what they cannot control? 75% of people said that they are very concerned.
Okay. Yes. One. How many people says they're not concerned? I'd like to know how many.
Only 3%.
Wow. Okay. When I did this in Europe, yeah, there was like 8%, and I said to them, I need to know what your business is, because it must be good. Okay. Uh, can you hear me? Am I back?
Yes, Ricardo.
Okay, I am back. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
okay, so a very high number, yeah, of very concerned, and I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I wanted your participation. I wanted to know that whatever I'm going to speak for the next 15, 20 minutes, we had a connection. So why are you very concerned? And most likely is because nature has thrown us this huge curve. has thrown us this disruptor called COVID-19. And it put us, all of us, in a crisis mode. It put us in what we call the 10-80-10 principle. And what is this? What is a principle, Ricardo? We know about the 10-20-70. We know about the 20-80. So what is this 10-80-10 that you call in the crisis mode? Well, 10% of our employees, they go into this panic mode. Actually, they really don't know what to do. And not only they don't know what to do, but actually whatever it is, they create even more chaos. Yeah, because it's like they're totally immersed in this panic mode. But then you had this 80%. Most of us, we get into the stun mode. We freeze. It's like, wow, this is big. I thought it was not going to affect us. So how can we be happy if we're stunned or in a panic mode? And then, of course, there's this 10% that we call it, they have the create mentality, the create mindset. They're actually, it's almost like they're going against the current. These people, they're very calm. Yes, the storm is here. Yes, COVID-19 is here. Yes, we're working from home. We have remote ability going on. We're looking out the window thinking what's next. But this 10%, they're creating, they see the opportunity that we need to do something. Because see, at the end of the day, all of us, we need to move into the create mode, because we need to start minimizing the 80%. We need to move that 80%. And we cannot just tell people, stop being stunned. Stop waiting for instructions. You should know what to do. That's not going to create happiness. So it's us as leaders that we need to all help that creativity, the ideas, and keep lowering, the percentage of stunned people. Now, so Ricardo, how do we do that? Well, I really like this definition of leadership. This definition. There's so many principles of leadership. There's so many, hundreds and hundreds of books, not to say thousands of books of leadership. But this definition that we use is really, if we're thinking as leaders, is that we need to be able to facilitate movement with our people. I just talked about that 10%. We need to create movement on that 80%, and ideally also the 10%. But movement, not just for the sake of moving. That movement needs to be on the needed direction. And I can guarantee you that almost all of us, that is strategy that we spend a lot of money and a lot of time and meetings that we had it for FY20, or in India, you just started your new fiscal year April 1st. I can almost guarantee you that whatever was written today, that has changed. So the needed direction has changed in almost every industry. But even more importantly, and this is where the happiness comes into play, we need to make sure people feel good about this. So not only we got this huge disruption, this massive disruption, not only we got the 10-80-10 principle, not only we're working from home, but it's the leadership from all of us that need to create the movement in the right direction, and we need to make sure people feel good about it. Now, we got, actually today I will introduce two models. We call it, one is a steps to accountability model. And it's a very simple model, and it's almost, it's like the OS principle definition of what accountability really is and is not. We use the word positive accountability on the title, because so many people, when they hear accountability, it's like there's something negative, it's punitive. Now this model, is divided by a simple black line, and we call it, very innovative, we call it the line. Very, very good. And now, but below the line, It's where we play the blame game. We blame COVID-19. We blame the people staying at home because the government says we need to stay at home. The physical distancing, because I read today that we don't want to use social distance anymore. Let's call it physical distance. We need to be social. Yeah? We play the blame game because we talk about the things that we cannot control, and we cannot control this virus. Yeah? It's when we even virtually we have these discussions about how we're not going to be able to finish the project on time. We become victims of the circumstances. We are frozen. That's the a lot of the 80% is there, yeah, in that below the line area of our steps to accountability model. The 10%, the bottom 10% by all means. Now, above the line is where we have the steps to accountability. We see it, we own it, we solve it, and we do it to achieve the results. Now, I just mentioned that the results, every leader most likely right now is thinking, wow, we can't even be looking at a year, that plan, strategic plan, or our key results. Today we need to make sure we're aligned. Let's be looking at 30 days. Are we all aligned to the 30 days from now? 60 days maybe, because we don't know. There's so much uncertainty. It's that's what we're leading through, this uncertainty. And so above the line, yeah. So we take the steps to regardless of COVID-19, let's agree what the new results are going to be for 30 days, and let's go get it. Let's be engaged. Let's be happy above the line. Let's create things. That's that create 10% that we need to permeate into the rest of the organization. Now, I'm not saying, and we do not say that going below the line, especially in today's, it's almost natural that we're going to go there. It's just that we as leaders and individual contributors, all of us, we need to realize that staying below the line is ineffective. It's ineffective. We may get a lot of friends there. Yeah? We may have a lot of discussions that we're all going to agree. It's almost like we have this gravitational force pulling us down to play that blame game. Yeah? Now, when we talked about the steps to accountability, what are we really saying? Yeah? We're basically saying there's 4 of them. And of course, there's always the first step, the one that is hardest. Yeah? And it's the most difficult to take. It happened to all of us when we were, I would say, a year old, plus minus. Yeah? It's a first step, yeah? But it's the one that we celebrate the most. And as leaders, yeah, and as individual contributors, wherever we are, yeah, in an organization, is we need to acknowledge the reality. And today the reality is a tough reality. Having to work, remote ability, having to work, using all these different platforms, not being able to have a face-to-face discussion, not being able to go and you were the best salesman out there because you had the charm, because you could go into whomever your clients were, retail, pharmaceutical industry, you just were charming. Now suddenly that charming, that being able to shake hands and embrace is gone. Yeah? It's a reality. So we need to change. We have to deal with our own realities. Then the second step is a choice. Either we're going to get involved or we're going to say, you know what? I'm going to wait for my leader to tell me what to do. I'm frozen. I'm in the middle. I'm in that 80%. So are we going to take the choice? Are we going to own it, getting involved and engaged to deliver whatever results? Yeah? Now this one, the solve step. We're not asking people to do more. It's to think differently. Is to help them. What else can we do? How many great ideas are occurring today? You read the news, and once you forget about reading the bad news, focus on the good news. So much, what else can we do? So much is going on today, which needs to be going on. And then, of course, we need to do things. It's another choice. Either we'll plan, we'll brainstorm, we'll think about everything, and then, oh, I got too busy. Oh, I forgot. I forgot I committed to do this. Yeah. So as leaders, yeah, when we go back to the definition of leadership, yeah, is this is how we start applying, yeah, the leadership, the direction, the movement, and the happiness, the involvement of all of us. Yeah. Now, it's still I haven't covered well. So how are we going to get there? Yeah. How are we going to be able to get people in happiness per se? So to do that, I'll get into the second model, which is results pyramid. Another very simple model. We create experiences all the time for everybody, virtually, face to face, 24/7. We're creating experiences. Now, those experiences will shape the beliefs that we have about our business, our people, colleagues, yeah, and whatever beliefs we have, they will influence the actions that we take, what we do every day. And of course, those actions are the ones that they're going to give us the results. Those new results, those 30 days, the 60 days result. Yeah. So how can we move that 80%? How can we do that? Well, we look at the pyramid and I said, we got 3 steps. We recommend the 3 steps. The first one is the action. The action is what people can see. So go big, guys. We got to be visible. We got to embrace the video conferencing way of life. We got to over communicate authentically. We need to remain authentic. Yeah. We need to. Over communicating does not mean micromanage. Yeah. We need to be clear. Create boundaries, guidelines, metrics. Make the why compelling. Why did we need to change those results? Yeah? So all these are actions that as leaders we can do, that we can take to make sure our people understand, is clear where we're going. Step number 2, we have these meetings. Yeah, we have these virtual meetings. So let's in advance, what beliefs do we want to shape? What belief do I want them to hold? Yeah, and think about this before you go into the meetings. Yeah, and once it's clear for us as leaders what belief we want to shape in the meetings, then we say, okay, so what virtual experiences do I need to create? Because how many of us, yeah, we got employees that actually they're thinking, well, I sure hope management figure it out. What do we need to do? Well, wouldn't we like to shift the belief to more that every one of our employees says, I'm accountable to find a solution? Or how many of the employees? I mean, you replied in that poll, this year is a lost cause. It's lost, Ricardo. Come on, don't. It's lost. It's gone. Wouldn't we like to shape that belief to what else can we do to deliver? Now, maybe the delivery will change. I just discussed earlier about the results. Most likely, every leader is shifting right now, is moving them. Or how many employees are just blaming, saying communication seems lacking right now? And I'm not involved. I need to be communicated to. So imagine we want to shape that belief to, I refuse to be confused, and I will ask for clarity. Yeah. So that's that magic step 2. And then step 3 is leveraging the virtual experiences. And what do I mean by that? Is, as I said, identify, how many meetings you're planning. And I'm not talking about the good morning 5-minute, get everybody together, say good morning, something. No, that's nice. That's just to keep everybody involved. But plan the experience. Yeah. Plan the participant involvement. Your people. Yeah? So when we look at these 3 steps, if you really think about even the step 1, those actions that I discussed, they will become experiences. So you're creating this agility, this cultural agility within the company, this movement. Yeah. And and the one thing is, we need to make sure that as leaders, when we do all of this, so now we got the results pyramid in front of us. We need to make sure that we are intentional about taking a step one, about taking a step two, and then about taking a step three. Yeah? Intentional. We cannot leave it just to see if things are happening. Okay, now my team at this time, I would like to go for a second question, the second poll. So if you can help me with that, it'd be great before we move forward.
Sure. So here we are with our second poll question. Again, requesting all of you to log into menti.com and use the code 959132 to answer the second poll question. Can we also have the live screen of the poll?
Yeah, last time I did not see the results. I just heard it from you, so I didn't see the actual result. But it's okay.
Sure. So here we are.
And the reason why we like this poll, because see, as leaders, and I can guarantee you, because by the way, it happens to me. Yeah, we all go below the line. There's no
Yeah.
way. There's no way that we cannot do that. So by asking the question of, so are you impeding movement? Well, when we go below the line, we are, of course. We are impeding movement. It's a fact of life, but it's reality. It's life. Um, or are we inspiring movement, or are we rewarding movement? So that's why I like to see what's in your mind, because what I like to share before we go into the Q&A session. I like to, again, to share my own thoughts of that. Yeah, and hopefully they're useful. And I guess it will depend of where most of the people in yeah, where do you see you guys yourself at?
Sure, Ricardo. So can you see the results on the screen?
I cannot, but I will trust your numbers. So whatever you can tell me, I will
Sure.
believe.
Sure. So, Ricardo, the question was, as a leader, which is the question that you ask yourself more often today? And out of 145 people who have voted, and the numbers are increasing, 121 said that, am I inspiring movement?
I love you guys. I tell you, thank you very much, because it's. I think that as leaders, that's exactly what, If we're gonna use positive accountability, if we're gonna make our employees happy in this disruption, right? It's like we need to inspire. Now again, I'm sure all of us, and I'll start with myself. We have, right, a slow down movement. We have been blockers because we're humans. And nobody like to do. I mean, again, the situation. I told you, I love people. Talking to a screen. No, I'd rather be talking to you face to face, right? So, so we have a slow down movement once in a while, but the inspiration is the key part. Yeah, and I'm just going to talk about, again, my experience. Hopefully, again, it will help you as leaders also. And we believe, again, understanding the two models, the steps to accountability, understanding this below the line mindset, the blame game, then looking at the pyramid, there's four layers of the pyramid, and how the connectivity between actions, beliefs, and experiences are. So it's almost like, what are the critical competences that I need to have as leader to inspire movement, to make sure that my employees are engaged, and usually when they're engaged, they're happy. It's a very, very I don't know, a very simple connection: happiness, engagement. So I'll just talk a little bit about these critical competences, and we can discuss them more. And I just want to make sure I have the right time before I'm told that timing is limited. So the first one is clarity. And clarity right now is very, very important. And I said earlier, when I was discussing about, that we spend a lot of time and money on our strategic plan for this fiscal year. Well, I'm not saying we're throwing that out the window, but what I'm saying is we need to be clear to our business, to our clients, to our employees. To inspire movement, we need to be clear. Yeah, we need to look at what are those top two things that our team needs to do in the next 30 days. Yeah, it's we need to be able to think about this, and we need to be able to communicate it. Yeah? Because people are starving, yeah, for clarity. Otherwise, if you remember that person looking out the window, we're going to spend a lot of time looking out the window. Yeah? So there's an starvation for clarity, and we need to do that. So that's the first critical competence. The second one, yeah, in this time of disruption and uncertainty, this massive uncertainty going on, is of course agility. We need to move. Yeah, we need to think fast. We need to move fast. Yeah, and it's almost like if we are not clear, how can we be agile? So that's a very interesting connection between the two. Now, if you remember my below the line, the blame game, the ones, the wait and see and tell me what to do behaviors, those are the ones that totally playing against us being agile. So as leaders, think about how much time we're spending on wait and see. As leaders, how much time we're spending waiting for direction from somebody higher than us. Huh? The next one is, of course, visibility. And I mentioned that earlier when I was looking at the when we need to act. Yeah, the visibility is about is calming. People need to see us as leaders. Yeah, it's almost like as as certainty increases, then visibility can go down. But when an uncertainty increases, you need to be visible. And what is visibility? There's the two issues between being accessible, yeah, and be on the phone, on WhatsApp groups, on Zooms, and talking to people. But the other angle of visibility is transparency. Are we transparent? Are we authentic? Or are we just telling the stories? Oh, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. Then, of course, the fourth critical competency is accountability. Is living in the environment that we allow people to be accountable, each one of us. And then, rather than using accountability as a punitive thing, is understand as leaders, how can we hold other people accountable in a positive way? Yeah? So accountability has those two phases: my own self, and then the people that I'm leading. Yeah, and finally, it's empathy. And it was interesting in empathy. We all know about emotional intelligence, and I'm sure some of you, a lot of you, have heard about employees saying, "Well, we don't care, yeah, what you know. They just want to know that you care about us." And that empathy, yeah, is in today's. We got people. We got children that they're not going to school. We have maybe some of the grandparents are living at home, and it's trying to understand from all of the employees, what are they experiencing from their perspective, not what you are telling them they should be experiencing, but from their side. So how are we going to inspire movement to our people in the right direction and keep them engaged and keep them happy is us as leaders, using that leadership principle definition that I used earlier in the day. It's about those 5 critical competences that we need to measure ourselves. Are we clear? Are we clear enough? And sometimes we need to ask for feedback, because maybe we think we're clear, but maybe we're not. Are we agile enough? And I'll give you our own example. If you would have asked me 2 months ago, or in late January, Ricardo, are you ready to go into webcast? Are you ready to go virtual and deliver your solutions virtually? I always said, why? We love the interaction of people. Yeah? But the agility that we had to perform in this time, it was like either we become agile or we die. Yeah? And then it's a visibility aspect because it's calming. Yeah? Then of course accountability, and then finally empathy, emotional intelligence. Look at every one of our employees. What are they doing? That's my, you know it's my recipe. Yeah. Look at those 5 critical competencies, look at those 2 models, and help your employees with a positive twist to accountability, and make them happy, make them engage, and move forward. With that, yeah, I would like to go into the Q&A section. And again, I have some great moderators that they're going to support me with that. So um, let's get started. And with Q&A, I'm ready to answer. And in the meantime, I will also just leave that also, so Kadambini's, if you want to contact her from Door International Southeast Asia, or myself in LinkedIn or email. So yes, what are the questions? What are the questions that we can support you?
Sure. Sure, sure. So, Ricardo, that was a very good presentation. Thank you for sharing the models and the competencies. And for our audience, I request everyone to please keep sharing your queries and question on the right-hand side of the chat section. Ricardo will take as many questions as possible during the session. So,
All right.
Ricardo, before we move to questions from our audience, we just went back and researched about the topic of accountability and the culture, and how leaders should, lead accountability as a culture in the organization. So we got mixed reviews from leaders and from the employees and how they see accountability. So
Yeah.
the first question that we have is, when leaders clearly define and communicate what the organization and employees are accountable for and committed to achieving, they are describing an ideal culture. But when it comes to practicing that ideal culture of accountability, what promotes, what according to you, what really promotes accountability, and how does it look like in practice rather than communicating the key areas of accountability?
Yeah. And that's that's a very good question. Um, we go to so many clients that
Yeah,
we're called because they said, but our goals, objectives, key results, whatever they're very well defined. Look at this. We even have a great process to make sure the whole organization knows them. And by the way, we have great values. And look, we have nice posters on the values. Yeah. So, and I, so I always say, so how do you implement values or beliefs? Yeah. Then there's a bit of difference between values and beliefs. Values are, we always say, they're timeless. Companies don't change values after 5 years, but the beliefs, the mindset, we say it's time sensitive depending where you want to go. So from the question, there's 2 things. One, yes, clear, defined results, objectives are paramount. They're very important. But we need to make sure that in that communication is you have seek some feedback. You're allowed engagement. You're allowed uh, again a 2-way communication rather than a 1-way. Yeah. How do you do that? There's all different ways of doing that. Second is, in reality, look at the culture that you have today, and it's the same culture that you have today. However you define that, we define it very simply. A culture is how we think and act. That's it. How our people think and act. That very simple. So, is the culture that you have today is is it gonna be able to take you to the next step or not? Now, I said it before earlier today about the intentionality of it. So, culture, accountability, first of all, is leaders led. And it means we need to walk the talk. We need to be accountable. If we never ask for feedback, how can we expect other people to ask for feedback? Yeah. If we just
sure.
send out the objectives, that's not enough. So be intentional, L- lead lead the culture. Yeah, define what accountability means for you. Because a lot of people use accountability almost as the hatchet. Well, you know, who is accountable because something failed? Here is, take the positive spin of accountability, our definition, yeah, communicate it intentionally, and lead it by ourselves.
Awesome, Ricardo. Um, so moving on to the next question, we talked about how the current situation is impacting the world of work and how the leaders are leading the both businesses and talent. Uncertainty touches every organization and has touched each and every organization around the world. And it's not only pandemic situation, but it can be changing market conditions, evolving customer expectations, new
Yeah.
technologies, and automation. So, how do organizations and their leaders maintain their accountability in these ongoing times of transformation and crisis?
Okay. And I my own expectation, and I hope I achieved it, is that part of what I said will help you deal with that, because everyone is on the same. I mean, the pandemic is worldwide. Yeah, we're in different stages by all means. So nobody, we cannot be blind. Yeah. And this is where those critical competences, the clarity, agility, visibility, accountability, and empathy are key, because this is not only about our employees or our own leaders if we're in the middle management rank, but it's also to our clients. They, you know they're also going through the disruption. It depends where you are in the supply chain. You got to be looking at both sides. So use the critical competences, yeah, to deal with it. Be authentic. I mean, right now, being honest, authentic, transparent are so important, because we are all in difficulties, all of us. There's nobody out there. And I know that some industries are surging right now, like Zoom and all this virtual, and of course some of the pharma industries and all the healthcare products. Yes, some, but they're having their own issues. There are issues with supply chain. So again, let's all understand that we're in this pandemic together. Use the 5 critical competencies. Remember the pyramid. Every experience you're creating right now, today, to your employees or your clients, they'll remember it when things are back to whatever we want to call the new normal, because I cannot tell you what normal is going to be in 6 months from now. And then remember the steps to accountability. Remember that when you're having a discussion with your employees or your suppliers or your clients, are we going below the line? Are they going below the line? Are we becoming victims? How can we see it, own it, solve it, do it to achieve whatever results we need to achieve?
Sure, sure. Great. So, talking more about accountability gaps that an organization can experience. So,
Yeah.
the first step, how do an organization can really identify that they have an accountability gap in their organization? And also, what are some of the most common accountability gaps you have experienced while working with your clients and different organizations?
Okay. That's a great question, and I can I'm sure that accountability gaps today are, are more. The quantity of gaps are more. Why? Because this pandemic got thrown into us. This disruption, this uncertainty got thrown into us. We didn't plan for this. So what I advise my clients, and we do this especially when we do our solution we call accountability builder, a 2-day workshop that we go with our clients into our how to get to the results, yeah, how to achieve the results that we're seeking, is I ask them to group themselves by teams, and let each team, each project, each support function, we all had defined at the beginning of the year, yeah, based on the strategy and the vision that we had defined where we want to go. So here we are in April, and again, in India you just started the year. So but I bet that some gaps already existing because of the situation. But how we look at gaps and how we define the gaps is the difference between what we were planning and expecting to be done by now versus what's in reality happening. Because we all have plans, we all create plans, and we know that by the end of April we should have been here. Yeah. And let it be our numbers if we're in retail. Yeah. Let it be on new product launches. Let it be on quality. Yeah? So whatever is the number, the thing that you have committed to do versus the reality. And again, today we have a lot of reasons that they become excuses when you stop looking for solutions of why we're not getting there. So why the accountability gap is getting bigger. So that's how we define it. Yeah. What were you planning to do versus where you really are today? Now that's how you identify the gaps. Now, and the most common gaps, again, we have a lot of our clients of course, one of the key results is revenue, sales. And so one of the most common gaps is I'm supposed to be at, so many lakh and we are short of that. We're only like, 80% or 50%. So the revenue gap is very common to see. Um, Quality gaps, we have committed to our client, our 99%, so 1% of defects, and we're running at 2%. Or so all these metrics that we have in our key results, they become at the end the measure of what an accountability gap is. Now, how we close the gaps, we use basically the tools that we have discussed today, and we have another tool called the SOSD tool, which is the one, we see it, we own it, we solve it, do it, and we work in teams to close those gaps, which in my mind for this year is going to be a very good tool to know, to use it, to be good at it, because there will be a lot of gaps out there.
Great, Ricardo. Thank you so much for answering that question. Moving on to the last question, and I just reviewed all the questions that we have received from our audience, and I saw a lot of common emotions being
I lost your audio.
I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, I just repeat my question.
Yeah.
Sure. So, Ricardo, most of the times the concepts like responsibility and being held accountable is viewed negatively by employees. And most likely the reason could be that leaders have tried to mandate accountability from the top down. So, how do organizations make sure it promotes and encourages accountability throughout the hierarchy, and not only it should be an expectation from the employees who are at the lower rung?
Okay. And I'll start with this, yeah, and differentiating between responsibility and accountability, because and we get, but believe me, in some languages there's not even a word. The word accountability is not even translated into most languages, so it becomes almost an interpretation. Yeah. So let me first stop on the responsibility. Yeah, responsibility is given to us. Yeah, if we are the managing director of a company, we're responsible to go forward. And we're very good at giving responsibility based on our titles, based on our job descriptions. We're responsible for the project, for the team, etc., etc. So responsibility is given to us. Yeah. Now, see, accountability. The biggest difference is accountability is a personal choice. See, we need to start with that, because accountability is a personal choice. Me as a leader, as a CEO, I cannot just say, okay, from today on, we all have to be accountable. No, it's a personal choice. My employees, day in, day out, they will take accountability or they will not. Now, taking accountability, yeah, it's even regardless of the circumstances around you. Yes, I cannot talk to the client directly. Yeah? It's regardless of everything going around you. Yeah? What may be blocking you to succeed, you still take that personal choice to get above those circumstances and still achieve whatever it is that you need to achieve by seeing its owners solve it, do it. Now, yes, leaders like to say, yeah, we all need to be accountable. But I said two things earlier. It has to be leaders led. This is not, this is not something that said we all got to be. Hey, lead by example. Got to start there. Uh, it has to be intentional. We do find leaders that said to us, well, Ricardo, I gave you the budget, I gave you my people, so go do them. And I asked, what about you? Well, I'm the leader. I don't need this. I'm the CEO, so of course I'm accountable. See, we all believe we are accountable with ourselves. The reality is we love to externalize things. So, and even if you have a leader, see, this is also very common. If you have a leader that says you all need to be accountable, and you're observing his or her behavior, and they're not, now you have a choice to make. The choice is, well, my boss, my leader, my manager, he's not displaying any accountability features. He's always blaming the other department. So why should I? So that's one choice. Why should I? My leader is not, I'm not going to be accountable. I'll be below the line. I will keep blaming other people. Or you take the personal choice that even though my leader, she's not accountable, she's not displaying this, I'm going to stop, and I will stop blaming people, and I will get above the line, see it, own it, solve it, do it. Now, yes, in practice, some leaders don't like to listen. Now, there's tools on accountability. Let it be feedback tools that allow, ideally, to have an open and candid culture in the organization that you can seek feedback. But let's just keep that in mind. It's the personal choice, because if we blame our leaders because we are not going to be accountable, then we are as bad as they are. So from a changing perspective, this, when we go into organizations, most of the time we do work from the top, because if it's not leaders led and if it's not intentional, there's a probability that accountability will take the negative spin, that it becomes a punitive thing rather than not. I hope I answered the question, by the way.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Ricardo, for answering those questions. Those were really insights, and I'm sure we, after the session, we are all going to, relook at our accountability model of our business and understand what are the gaps. Thank you so much for sharing your the models and competencies, Ricardo. Thank you so much. So now let's move on to the questions from the audience. I can see a lot of questions being asked.
Okay.
So, yeah. So let's start with the question, which is, how can we, in this uncertain and work from home scenario, make employees feel safe and comfortable and accountable? What measures are to be taken care of? Does this differ from employees across various generations? And is it any different for millennials?
Okay. That's a very good question. And I'm sure we're all asking those questions. Let's start with our models, and the critical competences, and I'll make one statement, and I know that the generation gaps, and we talk about millennials, not millennials, and I'm sure we all need to be treated differently because we think differently. We're all individuals. Now, if you apply those critical competences, we all, as I said, clarity right now, everybody's starving for clarity. And I frankly don't care if you are my age or if you are a 22-year-old millennial. I really, because it doesn't matter. We need to have clarity. Yeah. So when you look at these 5 competences, we need to be clear. We need to move fast. Now, we may need to explain. I said earlier when I was looking at how we're going to move that 80%, is go big, on those actions. Over communicate, don't micromanage. And move fast. We need to move fast. So the clarity and agility, they're very, very important And yes, you may have to do it differently if you're 22 or 60, but we both need that clarity. And if we're going to survive, we better be agile. Regardless, our see, our demand for our product may have gone, so we better be fast and agile to switch. And everyone wants visibility from the leader. It gives you that calmness. Yeah? And again, let's not blame things. Let's be accountable. That's why accountability becomes a critical composite. And the empathy part, this is where I would say, with that empathy, is yes, the millennials ought to be, again, we need to know their perspective, which is different than a 40, a 50, or a 60-year-old. So these 5 critical competencies are key. Yeah. If you integrate it into our model and you realize those actions those are the ones that are going to get us to the results, even if we're working from home, even if the remote ability that I mentioned earlier, that's there to stay for a while. So keep focus on those 5. How are you living those critical competencies? How are you applying them with the pyramid? Yeah. What experiences are you creating? Because every call you have, yeah. And I'll give you my experience. We started this in mid-March here in Germany, and that first week was terrible. It was terrible. I mean, I knew as a leader that I was not doing a great job. I just, it's like, what am I doing? So we set up daily calls with my team. But I knew in the back of my mind that something was not working. So I seek feedback. I asked for feedback. And they told me, actually, yeah, it was not so good. So either you change, you're seeking feedback, you take into account, and then you start shift yourself, and you start applying things that you hear to become better. So there's no magic one. It's here to stay. And again, acknowledge that reality, because we all have different realities. How do I engage? How do I get my people to engage? We need to learn fast. And then again, depending on what you are, what else can we do? What else, this team A, what else are they going to do? What else are you going to do? Don't, as leaders, we're not the ones that need to provide all the answers. Let them know that you are seeking their what else can I do attitude. And then, of course, do whatever each team says they're going to do, and hold them. Define metrics. Yeah. But shorten the metrics, shorten the time. Right now, 30 days, it may even seem too long. So it depends on what business you have. You maybe want to go back to 2 weeks. I heard somebody, I was in a WebEx with another client, and said, we're getting results into a 1 day. I said, well, that may be too much. Yeah. So I look at 30 days could be a good way of managing, of leading your teams right now. I hope that helps.
Yeah, sure, Ricardo. Thank you so much. So the other question that we have, I think, Ricardo, given the time we have, we can take 2 more questions.
Okay.
So the next question is based on the 10-80-10 model. So
Okay.
the person is asking how much from 80 we should target to move to top bracket per week or per day.
Well, um, that's a good question. Frank, I have to say, I have not created the movement metric yet. Yeah. All we know is that 80% is so critical for us. Yeah. It is so critical. So, and it's almost like the leading by example of that group, the group that is like, man, we're not going to stop. We're going to go forward. We're going to think and innovate. It's almost like, yes, that group, we create intentions, and we do things with intention, and you will see, yeah, because on these virtual meetings, the engagement level, by seeking feedback, by creating that by being empathic, you almost need to be looking at the measurement of people. Where are they? And seeking their perspective. I haven't figured out, frankly. So it's a very good question, because I don't have a numerical answer. All we know is that top 10% is how we lead. That top 10% is how fast and how deep we're going to be able to move to the 80%. Ideally, in let's say we're in the middle of April right now. By the end of April, we want to have the critical mass of our groups, away from just being frozen. Yeah. It's, yeah. So, but I don't have an exact metric. But let's be intentional about moving them. That's the one thing that we cannot lose sight of.
Sure, sure, Ricardo. So the last question is again on the model. Um, the person is asking, is the accountability model what happens if a few of the heads of the department play below the line?
Oh, I don't need to imagine this. It happens. It happens so often that the head of departments, without realizing, because I'm not saying that everybody that goes below the line, they do it with malice. Yeah. But they go there. And one thing they don't realize is that by them going there, they just authorized everybody in the department to go below the line. Yeah, that's one thing. Now, so what can you do about it when the department head goes below the line? And it will depend. It will depend on the culture of the company. It will depend on the being open and candid. It will depend if the culture of feedback exists. Yeah. So, and I'm not telling every one of you to go and knock on the door of the department head and says, "You're below the line. You cannot do this." So it's hopefully, yeah, the department has results, objectives. Yeah. Hopefully the conversation with the department head and the people that report to him, it can evolve around the objectives of the department. And 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 I would say we need to open the eyes of the department head that is staying below the line, for the department, for himself and us, the employees that work for him. Is nothing effective is going to come out if we keep complaining and complaining. So we need to help him
Yeah,
see what life above the line looks like. See it, own it, solve it, do it to achieve the results. Very good
sure,
question, because
sure.
it's very real, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ricardo. And
Okay.
because we are running out of time, and I'm afraid we have to take these questions offline. So, with this question and answer session, we are going to wrap up today's webcast. We have more questions. So, may I request the team to show the credentials of Ricardo so that our audience can reach out to him and get their queries sorted? So, moving on, we would like to thank our today's webcast partner, Door International. They are a global leader in human performance improvement, established 1981 in the Netherlands and internationally operating since 1992. Door is offering a wide and unique portfolio of world-class solutions and Door-owned training programs. Their integrated offering includes strategy alignment consulting, assessment services, world-class process, and skills content and technology enabled solutions. You can visit their website at doortraining.com for more details. We are dropping the link in the comment section in the right side of your screen. You also, for the today's webcast, I request you to provide your feedback about the overall experience of the webcast in the survey link provided in the chat section. Stay tuned for many more such exciting webcasts and content. That concludes today's webcast. Thank you. Take care of yourself and your loved ones and have a great day. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ricardo.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.